Today we're looking at superhero parody done right with The Tick. Hey comic heads, and welcome back to Dangerous Comics. I'm your host, Dane Georges, and today we're looking at The Tick, #1. Oh man, I love The Tick. This was a big important book for me growing up. Also really important that I grew up with the original cartoon that came out in 1994. And this is a huge inspiration to some of the books that I do as well. I do a book called Doomskull, which is about an ex-supervillain that works at a grocery store with his minion Bag Boy. And a lot of the humor and themes that I play on are super inspired by The Tick. So we're looking at issue 1. This is, sadly, I don't have a first printing of #1. This is the 4th printing of the Smash first issue. The original issue came out in 1988. And there was 9 reprints overall. So this is the 4th one, but it was a New England comic publication. They were a comic shop that was located in Massachusetts. Originally, The Tick was a comic strip that appeared in their newsletter, and then they eventually published it as a full black and white series. And at the time, the creator and writer is Ben Edlund, and he was 18 years old. So super inspiring, and it's just full of ideas and humor, and it moves so quickly. It will make you laugh no matter how many times you read it. And this concept, this series, has been adapted a lot of different times. It's been a comic, it's been a cartoon, it's been a TV show, multiple TV shows. And Ben Edlund went on to go work in television after doing the comic, but comic ran for a while. Just starting, I love TikTok is the name of like the letters column, and they're calling out, what we're seeing here. This is a #1 4th edition, December 1989, so it came out like a year after the first printing. Buy American, buy bonds, buy. So there's even like putting jokes into the indicia, which I just love. Just use the whole comic as your playground. I think that's inspiring. But I love, does this comic contain the true secret origin of the Tick? No, but that headline got your attention, right? The true secret origin of the Tick will be disclosed someday, right after Wolverine's origin, maybe. So, that has, I think we finally, that was, Wolverine's origin was kind of a little bit more protected. It's a little bit more run-of-the-mill and has been told. So, maybe it's time for us to finally get the Tick's origin. And so it just starts with our hero, the Tick, in an insane asylum. He is in a straitjacket in a padded cell, and he's bored. And I've only been here 2 months, and I'm already bored. No unnecessary sedation. No electroshock therapy. Not even any elevator music. This place has become confining somehow. I feel restrained as he's in a straitjacket. And yet I sense my destiny is at hand. Things are changing, and a brilliant idea has come to me. I will leave this place. And so, I guess to jump ahead, what this issue or this printing has is some really cool back matter where we actually do have some original strips that were originally published in New England Comics newsletter. So we get this great how to draw the Tick. It starts with carefully draw an oval in the center of your paper. Step 2, now bisect that oval by drawing a line through both its poles. Step 3, now draw the Tick holding an oval with a line through it. See, isn't that easy? Next time, learn to draw like this famous artist. So funny. It's just like there is that awesome SpongeBob joke where he's like, how to draw a circle, and he draws like an insane drawing of like a face, and then he erases all the details, and then he's got a circle left over. Oh man. But I think this is such a funny way to use like a how-to and still do a joke. But so we actually do get like, these were some of the original strips that Ben Edlund did for the newsletter, and it does kind of go into like a little bit of fills in some of the story of like where we start this issue, and it does start the same way with him in an insane asylum, and then breaking out kind of with these two Muppet-like scientists that were kind of like watching over him. and kind of fills in some gaps as we see this issue starts with him there and then kind of instantly cuts to him being free. So I think that strip in the back kind of fills in that gap. But this city calls to me. It cries to me of its need. And as I approach it, antenna twitching and in anticipation, I see the city for what it is. A big place with lots of buildings and lots of rooftops to jump around on. That's what I do. I'm a superhero. And the city needs me. So just kind of like already like poking fun at superheroes. He's like, he just sees the city as like a place for him to jump around. It's a big playground. And I love, we get our view of him. He's like this cool upshot. He's looking super dramatic, and he's got a Viewmaster around his neck as he's jumping around. Destiny is a funny thing. Once I thought I was destined to become emperor of Greenland, sole monarch of its 52,000 inhabitants. Then I thought I was destined to build a Polynesian longship in my garage. I was wrong then, but I've got it now. I'm the destined protector of this place. I'm this city's superhero. And man, it's so... Ben Edlund is just doing such a cool use of like the black and white already. I love these establishing shots and then cutting to this up angle. I love how he's using the zipatone to kind of cut in the clouds and kind of give us a foreground background with the buildings. Just so cool. And I love just like, if you didn't know, if you weren't reading this, it does kind of look like your traditional superhero comic. Just there's something a little bit goofy, a little bit off happening. I especially like the part about dancing across rooftops. I'm like a god when I do that. And I love this 3-panel as he just like goes up, does a flip, and then goes nosedives right toward the ground. And so funny. There's some really great motion here. And then I love that cutting to just the feet first as he's like just zooming right toward the ground. Great like perspective there. People say that I'm out of touch with reality, that I'm insane. Sometimes I forget things, who I am, where I am, unimportant things, but I'm not insane. Crash. I'm a tick. So we get this really great setup of this character starting in the asylum, and then he's all of a sudden he's out. We know that there's something kind of off about this guy, and kind of just poking fun into like kind of the monologuing and internal dialogue that all these superheroes have, and like maybe they're a little insane too. So just it's very on the nose, but it's like really, and I think maybe we've seen so much more of this tongue-in-cheek view of superheroes since the 80s, but you know, this was kind of a newer look at it and just really being goofy and kind of in the same vein of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kind of poking fun at their heroes, poking fun at like Frank Miller, poking fun at all of these comics that came before it, and just kind of using the black and white indie comic as a place to like, hey, you're expecting to read about superheroes, but we're going to show you maybe like how they really are, like a little bit of a better view of the things that you're idolizing and kind of how crazy the whole idea is. So, you know, he doesn't have like his bag of tricks. He doesn't have his utility belt, but he does have his Viewmaster, which is like this old toy that you could like put this little film thing in, and you'd hit the side button and it would rotate the different film and you'd see something in there as you look. So it's like not like binoculars. He's literally not seeing anything out there showing him something. So it's a kid's toy. So it's just another aspect of how like disconnected from reality this guy is. So he's like looking, and it's his secret crime viewfinder engaged. He says, "There's crime here. I can smell it. All is in readiness, and I am too. I'm readiness, I mean. Now wait." And then he clicks his viewfinder, Viewmaster, and ooh, the age of dinosaurs. So he's like not even seeing like the ground below him or anything. And then he's like so heavy, and he hit this so hard that as he's sitting there looking through the Viewmaster, he actually crashes through the ceiling into this room where these ninjas were interrogating this guy. And this kind of like how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was playing on like Frank Miller's run on Daredevil and Ronin and all that stuff. There's a lot of that also in The Tick. And, you know, Frank Miller really kind of brought a lot of that into American comics, like the ninja and all of that with Elektra, and just he was reading manga very earlier than a lot of other American comic artists. So he was bringing that in, and then a lot of that seeped through into what other kind of comics people were making, and a lot of the parody ended up being about that as well. So we got these kind of goofy ninjas that are starting to attack him, but they're attacking him, parry, dodge, thrust, and they're getting him, and he's just like knocks him away. I love this as he's like pulls the window up to escape, and he still jumps out, and he's like such a big dude that he crashes through the window and crashes through the wall too, even though he opened the window. Jumps off the building. I love the simplicity of just like, you're gonna have like a just pure white blank background, just a silhouetted building with a window, and the Tick getting closer and closer as he's still like looking through his Viewmaster, and he's like, oh, he thought it was broken, and he's like, oh, now it works, the Oval Office, and then it keeps falling, and as he's going, he's like, I'll bounce off that flagpole to flip to safety, which is like definitely like a thing that like Daredevil would do all the time, and he hits this, snaps it because he's like so heavy, and then I'll bounce off that broad flat surface and I'll be in a lot of pain as he's still just clicking through the Viewmaster like it's showing him something. But I love like he does this, and then this gag just continues like for like pages and pages, that this flagpole is just now going whoa, 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 because he like hit it so hard, and he's flying down, and there's a homeless guy that's sitting here with his cat, and he crashes right in front of him. Bram! Youch! Wait a minute, there's no crime here. So I thought the Viewmaster was telling him he was going toward crime. Well, gee, this thing doesn't seem to work very well. And then so now we kind of get this conversation of him and this guy on the corner, kind of getting a little bit more about who the Tick is, and asking him, oh, well, are you invincible if you're able to, or invulnerable if you're able to fall through here? And he's like, no, I'm nigh invulnerable. Nigh? What the hell is nigh? And so we still have this whoop, whoop, whoop of the flagpole happening, and the ninjas jump after him. I'm a ninja. I am invincible. Me too, me too. And so they're falling. And I love there's like a rutsch, slid, as they're like hitting the ground so hard. I don't think they're surviving in the same way. He's like, what are you supposed to be? Some kind of roach or something? Wait, some kind of what? I am not a roach. I am a Tick. And I wonder if this is also, there is a lot of visual similarity to a character that appeared in Cerebus, the Roach. He looks very similar to kind of like the Roach would kind of parody a lot of different character, like comic characters like Wolverine and the Punisher and stuff like that, kind of making fun of those kind of characters. But there is some similarity, and even in the name with another bug, I mean, that's also just making fun of like all the bug kind of superheroes. But we have here another, I just wonder if this is a direct reference to maybe that the Tick has some kind of inspiration coming from Cerebus and the Roach, which definitely came way earlier than the Tick. But we still have the wub, 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 and then we still have it here as he's like halfway in the ground, still happening. He's like picking this guy up. This guy's like so much smaller than the Tick. And then, just keep kind of going back and forth with this guy. I love this. He's like, once he knows he's the Tick, he's like, oh, so you're a Tick, huh? Say, didn't you escape from an insane asylum a couple of weeks back? Says, my mind reels and spins at the speed of light. I search for the perfect response, the perfect alibi for the past 2 weeks. No. Oh, well then. And still we're getting the wub wub, wub 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 wub. And he says, it was the perfect answer. Completely negative. No one could mistake that for a yes. And he's thinking, what a screwball, as he's like looking toward the camera. So good. I love just like that contrast of like the internal dialogue of the superhero being kind of like insane. The ninjas are coming again, and he dodges them, and one of them goes right through the window, and then he just like tosses this guy over his shoulder without even thinking. And we do get this little cameo in the background. I think it might have been a few pages too, but we get Arthur, his sidekick in the other issues, is actually flying here in the background. So a really cool little detail that's set up in the first issue. It's like, that was close. I might not be so brilliant next time. Maybe I should get one of those secret identities. I wish I could find some crime to fight. And we get this really cool reference to Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, that painting here. And instead of the other name, or the name for the bar, it's called Hoppers here, as a reference to Edward Hopper. But really cool. I love just like this kind of different illustration style where there's not as much like zipatone in here. But we got the Tick sitting here with these other people that are in the classic painting. And, they're kind of wondering, what are you? Some kind of weirdo? No, I'm a tick. A what? A tick. You're a bug? A tick. And this guy's like, you ain't no tick. And so they kind of like going in on him. He's like, do you suck blood? What? Ticks suck blood. Do you suck blood? Yeah, I suck blood all the time. I don't believe you. It's like, I got a straw right here, pal. You want a demonstration? And then he starts like breathing through this straw for the rest of this. And the waiter's like, easy, big fella. And so he's breathing through the straw and he's not getting enough oxygen. And he ends up by the last panel passing out. He wakes up. I don't know what how he's supposed to have gotten here. But he wakes up and he's in this tunnel now. It's all blacked out. He instantly thinks, I must be in a whale. And there's a guy looking down and we see, great Scott, someone's in the tunnel and the train's coming. So we find out that this is a train track that the Tick somehow got himself on. And this guy who looks like a lot like Clark Kent in his disguise is thinking how he needs to jump into action. And he's like, I can't risk revealing my secret identity, which kind of is a bit of a callback to what the Tick's kind of been dealing with earlier, that he doesn't have a secret identity, but he's about to meet somebody that does. And we also see this, the newspapers talk about this Caped Wonder stuns city. So we're instantly kind of getting into, we got a little bit of Daredevil parody earlier, and now we're getting some Superman parody. So he's jumping in to save him, but he's still in his Clark Kent attire, and he's trying to save him, but the Tick is like not letting him save him. He's like, hey, hands off. He's like, you don't understand. I'm a superhero. I have to save you. And he's like, haha, nice try. But he still thinks that he's inside a whale. So he thinks that this guy's a big enzyme coming to help digest him. So they start fighting, and then they get hit by the train, and wham! And I love how they flip this here. So then the Tick's dialogue is, oh, it's a train. And he kind of smirks as they get hit. But I love that it's upside down. And then they're kind of just getting tossed, and they're like getting hit by the train, and darn it, I hate getting run over by trains. Rumble, clang, choo choo. And then the Clark Kent stand-in's like, this isn't happening. And then I love this loud noise, rumble. Instead of all the rumble, clangs, we finally just get a loud noise. They fall off the train tracks and they land. And this is where he kind of realizes that this is somebody else, because his suit starts ripping, and he says, hey, wait a minute. That was a subway back there. So you're invulnerable too. I'm nigh invulnerable. Too bad. And then he's got to get to work. We see that he works for Perry. So even more references to like the Superman universe. But his name is Clark Oppenheimer, mild-mannered reporter. You got that? And so he leaves, and as he's going, you don't look like a reporter to me, Clark. Clark, come back, you forgot your hat. And then next issue, high rise, high jinks. So next issue goes into like the Tick following him into work and kind of doing more Superman parody, but really, really cool issue. And like I said, this was the fourth printing, so they were kind of already promoting some of the other Tick issues that were coming out. Or here's an ad for some of the back issues that you could get and how you could order them. Also, just some other comics that New England Comic Press was making. And I guess, as we can see, they were on issue 7 by now. And then we get into the first appearance, and I think this does kind of fill in that gap of how he escaped the insane asylum. But really cool, really good back matter here too about like what's involved in doing a reprint. Should you, the discerning and demanding comic fan, buy this comic? What's next? How to order back numbered Ticks. So also ending on this really great illustration of like all these Tick villains. And they're really like, just get the imagination going. I think they're really cool. And I like want to see stories with all these guys. And we got our Clark Oppenheimer in there as well. Also just really interesting that the Tick is black and white still versus everyone that's in color behind him. We also have Arthur. the Electra stand-in. So this has been The Tick #1 by Ben Edlund. Really, really inspiring issue for me, and The Tick is one of my all-time favorite cartoons, comics, and just series in general, and how it kind of lampoons American superheroes. And it was a really big inspiration for me when I was making my comics. And if you want to support me, I've got a bunch of self-published comics. The biggest Tick inspiration I've got is Doom Skull, which I've got 3 issues of, but this is about an ex-supervillain that goes and works at a grocery store with his minion, Bag Boy, and I've got 3 issues of that. The 4th is on the way, but definitely has some Tick inspiration there of kind of just making fun of the superhero genre and kind of like the goofiness of it. I've also got some horror zines that I've done, like Sleepless Sights and The Passenger. So some black and white stuff. Also, one of my newer ones is Jiggly Bub, which is about a piece of gum that God spits out. And X-Ray, which is a collection of my 4-panel webcomics that I would post on Instagram, Tapastic, Webtoons, and the like. And the newest thing that I was involved in was Bootleg Bobs, which is a collection, a jam piece, an anthology of a bunch of 20 artists from across the U.S. that came together to do a bunch of Bob's Burgers comics. And I've got a 2-page strip right here about Teddy getting in the trash to get a burger. So I would love if you check out my comics. You can find it all at danegeorges.com, where I've got it linked in the description below. But thank you for watching this episode, and I really appreciate if you'd leave a comment or a like or subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode.